Today, I'm attempting to recreate the weirdest AI slimes. Okay, so this first one I'm actually super excited for because it's an iced coffee and I love iced coffee. It basically just looks like an iced coffee that's turned into slime. How many times can I say iced coffee? I actually have some plastic ice cubes which I could so easily use, but now I know that the clear wax works with slime, I decided I wanted to make them out of that. I just melted this down the exact same way that I did last time, and I actually took it a little bit slower this time so that there would be no air bubbles in it because I wanted these to look as realistic as possible. To make these look like ice cubes, I just found this ice cube mold on Amazon, and I feel like the concept's pretty simple. I'm just gonna fill this with the gel wax, and then when they set, they should hopefully look like ice cubes. I actually thought that maybe I hadn't melted enough wax, but this actually went really far. For some reason, even though I melted it really slowly, there were so many air bubbles in each one, but I kind of just tapped the mold up and down to just remove all of those, and they were looking perfect and ready to set. I left them in a cold room so that they'd set quicker, and then it was time to actually make the coffee part of this slime. Now, the coffee in the AI video is kind of like a milky, already mixed together coffee, but I wanted to take this with a slightly different approach so that the coffee could be two different parts of slime that could then be mixed together like it had just been freshly poured. This was brown dye, but I feel like the color wasn't perfect. I ended up adding a little bit of orange dye to it to kind of try and change it up a little bit, I guess. But I just mixed it together and hoped for the best with the idea that I could always redo it or try and fix it if the color wasn't quite right. But I also have to remember that this is going to be mixed with the milk part of the slime, so the color will change eventually. Once that was all combined, it actually really looked like black coffee, and I really wanted to just keep stretching and squeezing it because it looked so cool. I feel like slimes that are darker colors are actually kind of underrated because look how cool that swirl looks. Anyway, now the coffee part was done, it was time to make the milk part of the slime. You're probably thinking, why are you not just using white glue? And the reason why is because I already had some clear slime made, but also if I just add this white dye to the clear slime, it's going to become so much glossier, so much quicker. And I really want it to look like fresh cream or fresh milk, and it really looked so shiny. The texture was also perfect because it was the exact same as the coffee, so I know that these two are going to blend well together. Now the two slimes were made, it was time to check back in on the ice cubes which had fully set. Well, I say fully set, honestly I couldn't really tell because these molds were silicone, so it was squishy anyway. And very ironically, the ice cubes were actually pretty warm still when I took them out the mold. Either way, I was kind of getting impatient and didn't really want to have to wait any longer for these to set, so I just took them all out anyway. And I was so impressed with how these came out. They literally looked like ice cubes. It was so strange holding them and them not being cold. Now, I was kind of indecisive with how I wanted to assemble this. Part of me was thinking I'll do the ice one side and then we'll do the coffee and the cream lined up next to it. So that's what you can kind of see me attempting to do right now, and I feel like it was looking pretty cool at first. So I even added the cream into it as well just to see how it would look, and I started to kind of blend it together with my fingers so it looked like the coffee was mixing with the cream. Now, this definitely didn't look bad. I was just kind of more concerned with the fact that the ice cubes are kind of just sat at the top, not really doing anything, and I want them to be a part of the slime instead of just something that sits on the side, because otherwise I could have just saved myself a ton of time and just used a plastic ice cube. So I took them all out and then pressed the slime down and then pressed all of the ice cubes on top, and then very carefully took a thin layer of the clear coffee slime and layered that over the ice cubes. I even decided to blend in a little bit more of the cream slime to make it look like the coffee was still marbling, and it was really looking kind of perfect, but I wanted to take it a step further. Maybe it's just me, but I love some whipped cream on an iced coffee, so I decided to get some shaving gel and then whip it up and then put it into a piping bag to then pipe on top. I don't know if you can see, but it was still kind of green, but I was like, maybe it won't show up that much, and as you can see, it piped so perfectly, so I decided to pipe a few little swirls on the top of the slime, and truthfully, I think this looked bad. Sometimes less is definitely more with a slime, so I just scooped these all off, flipped it all upside down, and thankfully it was still not all fully blended. I cannot believe how indecisive I was with this slime, but in the end, I feel like I'm just gonna leave it how it was before, but I still felt like it was missing something. A straw. Thankfully, I literally had an old Starbucks straw that was left in my car that I found, and I feel like this looked so much better and way more realistic. It literally looked like a giant tub of iced coffee that I most certainly would drink, if it wasn't slime, of course. Mixing this together was so satisfying, not only because the ice cubes like squished into the slime and weren't literally just hard bricks of plastic like every other slime I've made with them in, but blending the coffee and the cream slimes together was so satisfying. I definitely think I need to get a new brown dye or try and figure out how I can change the color of it, because this kind of looked more like a chocolate iced coffee, and with the leftover cream on, kind of like a mint chocolate iced coffee, which actually sounds really good.
putty, jelly, fluffy, squishy. Can they be mixed? Next video mix. Putty, jelly, fluffy, glitter. Can they be mixed? Next video mix.